When people write in comments, do they really think in their mind that that is the answer? That is the solution? That is what everybody wants to hear? Well, today we are going to find out. Good Sunday morning, everybody. Chris here with High Seas Cruising, and welcome to this week's episode of What Every Cruiser Wants, the Survey Edition, where we are going to answer the question, is that what everybody wants? Because they write in all kinds of requests, all kinds of demands. Demands against veterans, demands against pool parties, demands against crew members, and even demands about how people use their name. So let's get into today's surveys. Let's find out, are these people right? Are these people wrong? Are they in the majority? First up today, we're going to talk about the veterans gathering on board Carnival cruise ships. Now, these are gatherings for veterans. And while I have absolute respect for first responders, you always get those people that say, well, it shouldn't be about veterans. It shouldn't just be about veterans. What about teachers? What about doctors? What about nurses? What about police officers? What about firefighters? But that list can go on and on and on. So what about grocery store clerks? What about garbage men? What about your cable installer? What about the guy that drives the street sweeper in your neighborhood? See what I mean? It can go on and on forever. At some point, you have to draw the line. But not everybody agrees with that. And when they don't agree with it, they write in a comment just like this. It is wrong for Carnival to only celebrate veterans. Teachers, doctors, nurses, and first responders should always be included. So they basically want everybody, because if you start creating a list of people that should be included, well, then you can't exclude anybody after that either. You can't come along and go, okay, we'll make it about teachers as well. Then what about the next group of people and the next group of people, so on and so on. You see, it's a snowball effect. So Carnival has said this is for veterans, but there's always somebody that feels left out. They asked a question. There was a survey. Let's take a look at some survey results. 26,871 votes on this particular question, with the majority saying, I believe the veterans gathering should be for military veterans as it is now. And lo and behold, for those that disagree, and lo and behold, for those that said Carnival should not just celebrate veterans, well, 0%. Well, the survey has spoken. 0% voted for changing the way Carnival does its veteran celebration. Everybody is important, okay? Whether you're a teacher, a doctor, a first responder, a garbage man, a dog walker, the guy that I go in and see in the store when I want to buy a soda. Everybody has a place and everybody has importance. But the people, well, they don't want the veterans gathering changed. Next up, we're going to talk about deck parties on board cruise ships. You know, you got your 80s party, you got white night, you've got silent discos, you have sail away parties, all different kinds of deck parties. Recently, they had Halloween deck parties on board cruise ships, popular events. People dress up, they participate, they're having a good time. But here's a suggestion, okay? What if we stop having deck parties, and instead of deck parties, we play NFL games on the big screen? Because obviously everybody would rather watch an NFL game than to have a deck party. Makes sense. Well, it made enough sense that somebody did say NFL versus deck parties, where they believed that people would vote, people would take a survey, and people would say, obviously the NFL is what needs to be shown, and these deck parties need to go away. I do wonder, though, were they right? Is that what people wanted? And out of 21,130 votes, there was a small percentage that said NFL on the big screen should come before the deck parties like the 80s rock and glow. However, that is not the consensus of the majority. The majority say deck parties like the 80s rock and glow should not be changed to allow the NFL. Now, in all seriousness, though, Did you actually think people were going to go, yeah, you know what? Let's give up the deck parties in favor of you sitting here and watching a football game? Did you really think that was going to be the answer? Did you really think people were going to line up behind you and demand change from the cruise lines? Let's give up the parties. Let's give up the 80s rock and glow. We don't want any of that. We want to sit here and watch football. Did you think that was the answer? Well, if you did, you now know you're wrong. Who here is ready to pay more for your cruise? Who is willing to open up their wallet, pull out some extra money for an increase in your cruise? Now, what are you going to get for this increase? Are you going to get some Wi-Fi? Are you going to get some drink packages? Are you going to get some specialty dining? Nope, it's not going to be any of that. It's going to be so you can have Fox Network on the TV in your cabin. Who's not willing to take a price increase just to have that? I would say the majority of people would say no, but there are people out there, or at least there was one person out there who thought that was the case. I would like to see Carnival charge more for their cruise and invest that money in better in-cabin television stations, such as NBC, ABC, CBS, and Fox. So this person wants the price of your cruise to go up so they have better TV stations in their cabin. They don't want to get the internet package and watch anything on their own device. Nope, they want you to pull it from your pocket to pay for their TV. But like all of these statements, like all of these questions, like all of these demands, let's find out, did the people agree? 31,075 votes, with the vast majority, surprise, said please do not raise the cost of cruise in order to provide better network television in the cabin, with a very small percentage saying they would like to be charged more for TV. There you go, folks. Apparently NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox Network in your cabin, it's just not the high priority that this person thought it was. There does not seem to be a flock of people running to this saying, yay, here's my money, take it now, got to have me some Fox. Apparently they're not in their cabins watching TV. Hey, you never know. Maybe they're up on the Lido deck mad that there's an 80s deck party and they can't watch the NFL. Crew members, well, I mean, there are servants, right? And if they're not serving us, they shouldn't be seen. I don't want to see crew members in my vacation space, and not unless they're serving me something, cleaning up after me, or doing something that I demand. And if they're not doing that, I don't want to see them at all. Is that not the proper cruise mentality? Is that not how everybody thinks? Now, I can definitely say that's not how I think. That's not how the majority of people think, I believe, but that's how this person thinks. The staff should never be allowed in passenger areas, Lido, and in the bars and lounges. So crew members should never be allowed in passenger areas. A crew member goes to the coffee shop to get their morning coffee, that's a no. Crew members are in the buffet eating some lunch, eating some dinner, sitting at a table, minding their own business, that's a no. If I see them, they better be serving me. What a crappy ass mentality. It's not mine. I'm always happy to see crew. Crew are always welcome to sit at a table with me. And I'm willing to bet that the majority of you kind of feel the same way. And wouldn't you know it, the majority have spoken, and they have said, I have absolutely no problem with officers and staff eating on the Lido deck and being in the bars and lounges with guests. And the person who made this suggestion, apparently, they stand utterly and absolutely alone, because out of 34,186 votes, 0% said the staff should never be allowed in the same area as passengers. I have no idea, none whatsoever, why it really bothers some people that crew members might be seen eating or enjoying themselves in passenger areas. How is that affecting your vacation? How is that affecting your cruise? Or are you really just that type of person that says, I don't want to see the help when I am on vacation? Now, you're going to have to help me to make this make sense, because it makes no sense to me. You ready? I would like British people to stop being British. And is it just me, or is that an absolutely insane statement to say? But oddly enough, somebody, well, they said it. John needs to have zero humor. Cruise ship facts only, and stop with the British jokes and language. So that was directed at Carnival Cruise Line's brand ambassador, John Heald, who is British. So is it a shock that he makes British jokes? And I don't really know how you stop the British language considering it's English. Yeah, there's a few words that are different, but it's English. And this is directed over at his Facebook page where he should have no humor. Just cruise ship facts. Stop with British jokes. Stop using British language. My God, man, stop being British. Now, John Heald, he has a big following. I wonder if his followers agree with this person. 27,926 votes, with the vast majority saying, I enjoy reading your page, John. I don't think you need to change anything. With just a teeny tiny little amount down there saying, I would definitely enjoy your page more if you had less humor and less British style humor and commentary. Well, lucky for John Heald, the majority of people do not want him to stop being himself. They don't want him to stop being British, but you know what can stop? Oh, there is something that we can absolutely stop right here and right now, because guess what? If you don't like John Heald's Facebook page, you don't have to look at it. And finally, we have one more person that'd like to take a pop shot at some crew members. But not because they're eating on the Lido deck, not because they saw them in passenger areas. No. They're mad about how crew members address them. And crew members, they're some of the hardest working, politest people out there. For the vast majority of them, they're just so polite. And when a crew member is talking to me, as a general rule, they will call me Mr. Chris. Tiffany gets called Miss Tiffany. And when this occurs, and when this happens, it never once crosses my mind to say, he's addressing me by my first name. Instead, what goes through my mind is, how in the heck have you remembered my name after one day, and you remember all these other people's names too? That's the real trick. Somebody wants to give me an answer to a question. That's it. How do they remember all of these names? You could tell me somebody's name an hour ago and I may not remember what it is. But this person who's never ever met me before is calling me Mr. Chris and will greet me and address me all week long. That's the real mystery of a cruise right there. At least it is in my opinion. But for some reason, when crew members do that, my God, it pisses people off. Comment from a guest who does not like being addressed by his first name. I suppose there's some old-fashioned people out there that don't believe they should be called by their first name. They don't want crew members to call them by their first name. This strikes me as the exact same type of person who doesn't want them in passenger areas, who doesn't want them eating in the Lido deck, doesn't want to see them in bars and lounges, and sure as hell doesn't want to be addressed by their first name by somebody whose job it is to serve them. That's how this comes across. They don't like it if a crew member comes up to them and says, "Hello, Mr. Stick." No. Do not call me Mr. Stick. Use my last name. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Up Your Ass. I will make sure I get that right in the future. So let's find out from the people. Do the vast majority care that crew members call them by their first name? Or is the vast majority with Mr. Stick Up His Ass and only expect to be called by their last name, as it should be when being addressed by a crew member? 29,410 votes. And I'd like to say I was surprised at this particular moment that the vast majority have said it is absolutely no problem for me to be addressed by my first name by the crew, with just a itty bitty amount of people say the disrespect of being addressed by the crew, which is my first name, is both obtuse and flippant. We are not in a frat house. This is supposed to be a customer service forward-facing cruise line. Well, that right there shows me that the crew members should keep on doing what they do, keep on calling me Mr. Chris, and if you are one of that little bitty percentage there that just doesn't like it because it's flippant, because it's disrespectful, I do suggest you reach around behind you. You grab a good hold of that stick, give it a solid yank, and maybe you will have a better time on your next cruise. And that is going to be our video this week. We have read the questions. We have looked at the surveys. We have our answers. And as usual, the vast majority of the people out there do not agree with the crap that some of these people write in. But you guys let me know, where do you fall on these surveys? Are you in the majority? Are you in the minority? Do you think these people are right? Do you think these people are wrong? Now, I hope everyone out there has enjoyed today's video. If you have, do me a favor and hit that like button. If you haven't done so yet, do me a favor and hit subscribe. It is free to do so. It does help our channel grow. It lets you know anytime we put out a new video. Do you really want to miss somebody telling you that you are being disrespected because a crew member called you by your first name while they were eating lunch on the Lido deck, watching an NFL game instead of a deck party? Hope everyone out there is having a really great day, a really great weekend, and like always, we will see you out on the high seas.